Welcome, aviation enthusiasts and history buffs, to Classic Duels, a captivating mini documentary series that takes you deep into the heart of the adrenaline pumping battles that unfolded in the skies during World War II. In this episode, we're flying over the English Channel to the skies above occupied France from 1940 to 1942, and we're going to talk about, once again, about the legendary dogfights between the Spitfire and Messerschmitt Bf 109, this time in the Channel Front campaign. The aerial combats between the Supermarine Spitfire and the Messerschmitt Bf 109 during the Channel Front campaign is a fascinating chapter in World War II history, characterised by duels and dogfights between two of the most iconic fighter planes of the conflict. This phase of the war, primarily spanning from early 1941 to 1942, saw fierce battles between the Royal Air Force and the Luftwaffe over the English Channel and the coasts of Britain and France. Here is a detailed account of the history of these duels and the broader context. After the conclusion of the Battle of Britain in 1940, where the RAF successfully defended Britain from large-scale Luftwaffe attacks, the focus of air combat shifted to the Channel front. This period followed a lull in 1940-41, when neither side had complete air supremacy, leading to continuous skirmishes and raids, and the Luftwaffe, largely based in occupied France, still posed a major threat to Britain's airspace and coastal defences. By the summer of 1941, the Channel front would be defended by Messerschmitt Bf 109 E and F models from both JG2 and JG26, while it was the RAF's turn to go on the offensive, with Mark II and later on Mark V Spitfires escorting bombers and performing fighter sweeps of their own. The Mark II Supermarine Spitfire was an improvement over the original Spitfire Mark I, featuring a more powerful Rolls-Royce Merlin 12 engine and slight modifications to enhance its performance and reliability. However, by 1941, the Mark II was already becoming outdated in comparison to newer German fighters. When the Mark V Spitfire was introduced early in 1941, it proved to be a critical upgrade. It featured the Merlin 45 engine, improving its power output to around 1,440 horsepower, and it was more heavily armed with either 4 or two 20mm Spano cannons and 4 Browning .303 machine guns, and the Mark V Spitfire would become the backbone of RAF Fighter Command during this period. The Messerschmitt Bf 109F was one of the finest iterations of the 109 series, and was a significant improvement over the Bf 109E that had been used during the Battle of Britain. The Friedrich model boasted a more streamlined fuselage, enhanced aerodynamics, and the Daimler-Benz DB601E engine, giving it exceptional performance in terms of speed, manoeuvrability, and climb rate. It was equipped with either a 15 or 20mm cannon mounted in the propeller hub and two 7.9mm MG17 machine guns in the upper cowling. In 1941-42, the Channel front became the primary arena for so-called circus operations, where fighter sweeps were performed with bombers being used as bait, ramrod operations, which were bomber escort missions, rhubarb operations, which were small-scale strafing missions, rodeo operations, which were sweeps by large formations of fighters, and roadstead operations, which were attacks on German coastal convoys at sea or in port. All of these different missions would provoke fierce battles between RAF Spitfires and Luftwaffe Bf 109s. The Spitfire Mark V was considered a formidable dogfighter. It excelled at turning engagements, where its elliptical wings allowed for tight, controlled turns. In a turning dogfight, the Spitfire could often gain an advantage over the Bf 109F, plus it had more powerful armament with both cannons and machine guns in its wings. So with this in mind, the RAF pilots would try to force the enemy into a turn fight or a turn and burn engagement, where they could use the Spitfire's incredible manoeuvrability to their advantage. The Messerschmitt Bf 109F, while slightly less capable in tight turns, was superior in most other aspects. It had better acceleration in a dive, better high altitude performance, and a faster rate of climb. The German pilots often use hit and run tactics, diving into an engagement, taking quick shots, and disengaging quickly using their aircraft's superior climb rate. The boom and zoom tactics capitalised on the Bf 109F's speed and climb advantages, minimising the Spitfire's turning strengths. Plus, the Luftwaffe pilots mostly had home advantage, like us British did in the Battle of Britain. During these dogfights, both sides saw the emergence of highly skilled fighter aces. The Luftwaffe had legendary pilots such as Siegfried Schnell, Rudolf Flans, and Egon Meyer, who accumulated a significant number of kills in Bf 109Fs, while the RAF also had some legendary pilots scoring a significant number of kills, such as Paddy Finucane, James Rankin, and Sailor Milan in their Spitfires. However, both sides always had the constant concern of losing experienced pilots, especially with the RAF now fighting over enemy territory. By late 1941, the Spitfire Mark V began to encounter difficulties against the increasingly sophisticated Bf 109F, particularly in terms of high altitude performance. The RAF recognised this and began working on the Spitfire Mark IX, which would have a newer and more powerful Rolls-Royce Merlin engine and more advanced features to counter the Bf 109F and the emerging Focke-Wulf FW190A, which entered the scene in late 1941. The Luftwaffe, while continuing to rely on the Bf 109F for much of 1941, began to shift to the FW190 and the Messerschmitt Bf 109Gs as their primary frontline fighters, but the Bf 109F remained a potent adversary throughout the Channel front. The duels between the Spitfire Mark II and V and the Messerschmitt Bf 109F over the Channel front were a tactical and technological arms race. The Spitfire excelled in agility and firepower, while the Bf 109F capitalised on speed, climb and dive. Both sides learned from these engagements and adapted their aircraft and tactics accordingly, influencing the future development of fighter technology and air combat strategies. This period of air combat set the stage for the broader European aerial battles of 1942 and beyond, where the lessons learned over the Channel would be applied on a larger scale as both air forces continued to evolve. So that's it for this glimpse into epic struggles of the past. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with more riveting tales of aviation history, etc. Check out two videos at the end, all my CD reviews or even the playlists I've created. Cheers.